Today is a great, wonderful, amazing, incredible day, and I'll tell you why. Because it's Sweden Day, but not just a Sweden Day. No, Sweden Language Day. I told you I'd do it. A crash course in Swedish pronunciation. Without further ado, let's get into this reaction. Let's go.
Hey allihopa! Hi everyone and
Hello.
welcome to a crash course in Swedish pronunciation. I'm your host Joachim and you're watching Say It in Swedish. And today we're gonna talk about something that a lot of you struggle with. Swedish pronunciation. Because we have a lot of weird sounds and weird spelling rules in Swedish that you might not expect. So
I'm really looking forward to doing this because I can't say I don't know if I struggle with pronunciation. It is, I'm very aware and I want to pronounce things correctly. Because I know in the English language, when people speak English, there's one thing to communicate, but there's another thing to sound weird doing it. I don't want to sound weird. I really don't want to sound weird. You know, like there's some people that can speak a language and they've prioritized the words and the vocabulary and then the pronunciation. And if the language has a melody, they just put that in the back burner. They don't care. And I hear that sometimes in England, like someone will come to England and they'll speak to me and I'm like, yeah, I understand what you're saying, but how you're saying it is so jarring. It doesn't sound good. It's not comfortable to listen to. That sounds bad, isn't it? Like, I guess at least you can communicate. But I don't know. I don't know. I think me with my learning, I think I'd learn better learning the pronunciation and the melody first and then slotting that in. Because when I write, sorry, I'm going off on a tangent, but when I write songs, because you know I do a bit of music, when I write lyrics and stuff, I always sing the melody. I always write the melody first. And then I put the words into the melody. I know that sounds really weird. So I will hum a melody and I'll be like, oh, that'll be a really good song. And then I will write the words into the melody. That's how I learn. I mean, I think it's just how my brain works. And I think that's why, because I'm into music and stuff, I think that's why I love the Swedish language and the way it sounds. It's so melodic. To my ears, it might not be to you. I know you guys say Norway has a more melodic language, but I'm like, the Swedish language is so melodic. And that's probably why you're so good at music as well. Probably because of that. But anyways, I'm going off on a tangent. Let's continue watching this.
I thought let's go through everything kind of quickly. It's a crash course after all and it should fit in one video. But when we're done, you can check out the pronunciation course at sayitinswedish.com and go through all those lessons in your own pace with a bunch of examples. Okay. Let's kick things off with the letter A. So the Swedish alphabet begins with A, but it doesn't end with Z. We have 3 additional vowels to talk about later on. So right off the bat, we can talk about the vowels in Swedish. They have a short and a long sound, which is pretty common, but each of these sounds have different sound qualities to them. So it's really not the same vowel that gets extended or shortened, as you will hear now. So, A is the letter A, and this is the long sound, which is called the dark A. A. But we also have the short A, which is A. And as you can hear, those aren't completely the same sound, extended or shortened, right?
Okay, A and A.
And you can see that if you look at my mouth. I'm dropping my jaw here. And it's more like a.
So do you write that in a different way as well? It's like the symbol itself looks different. That's helpful though. If that's is that how you write it in your language? If it is, then that's really helpful to know which pronunciation is for which letter.
Like a line.
All
right? So here you can immediately see that we have a difference in quality, vowel quality, and this is something that might be a bit tricky for foreigners to grasp. And also, the vowels are kind of open, very open. Oh. And that's something, a mistake, basically, that Swedes do when they speak foreign languages or English, for instance. It sounds like Swinglish when Swedes speak because they open their vowels a lot. And foreigners who speak Swedish, they don't really open their vowels a lot. So that's something to think about. If you want to sound Swedish, think about those vowels. So think about that.
In Norwegian, do they open their vowels as well, or do they not? There's something about Norwegian, and I can't place my finger on it, that sounds very anglicized, like very, not anglicized, but like sounds like English in the sense of, I don't know what it is that they do that you don't do in Sweden, but they sound a bit more sharp, and I can't put my finger on it. I don't even know. I don't know what I'm hearing, but when I hear Norwegian, I don't know if it's the vowels that they don't stretch. I don't know. There's something that they do that I'm like, oh, that's more similar to like English than Swedish is. I don't know. Am I just making that up? I don't know.
And think about the vowel quality here. So 2 qualities. The short one is a distinct sound and the long one is a distinct sound. Then we have the letter B, which is a voiced B in Swedish. You can, if you put your hand here on your vocal cords, you can feel it vibrating when you're doing voiced sounds, right? So B is the letter B in Swedish, and it's pronounced B. It's voiced. B. All right. Then we have the letter C, which can be pronounced as an unvoiced S. So nothing is vibrating, right? Or a K, which is also unvoiced. So nothing is vibrating here. Then we have D, which is again voiced. So you can feel that here.
D
is the letter name in Swedish. D. Then we have the letter E, which can be a bit confusing because it's not an E. In Swedish, it's pronounced E and called E. And in this version, this long E version, it can only appear as a long vowel. Then it has 2 additional sounds, which is Ä and Ä. So those two, those two, they stay the same. That's the same sound being extended.
So that Ä and Ä, that's Ä. It says A.
And shortened. Ä and Ä. Which is also the same sound that we use for our letter Ä. So that's confusing. It depends on the spelling of the word, basically. So this letter can mean
the same sound for 2 different letters. Oh, this is what I'm saying about the vocabulary. It's gonna be annoying. I think I'm gonna be able to speak it before I read it. I mean, for me, I'm gonna be able to speak Swedish before I'm gonna be able to like read and write Swedish. I'm pretty sure.
Either E or Ä and Ä. Okay? Then we have F or F, which is just an unvoiced F sound, right? So very straightforward. It's just F. But then we have G, which is a lot trickier to grasp. So G can be pronounced either as a G sound. G is the letter name, and the sound is G. Voiced G sound. But it can also be a Y sound. Y, a half vowel here, like an English Y. Y. But then again, it can also be pronounced like a sh sound. Pretty tricky.
What? What the fuck is that, Sweden? What is that? A sh sound for a G? So there's a G and a Y and a sh. That's hard. Okay.
How do we know what sound to make? Well, the default pronunciation of G or G is exactly that, G, the voiced G sound. But in front of the so-called soft vowels, mjuka vokaler, as we say in Swedish, which are E, I, Y, Ä, and Ö, it's pronounced like Y. That's a regular, normal Swedish pronunciation rule. So we have gata, but we have gäst, right? The sh sound here that I talked about is only appears in loans
and also, which you love more on that sound later. I don't know what sound that is.
French, basically. The letter H or H is pronounced just like in every other Germanic language, like you are breathing. All right, but then we have the letter I, which is called I in Swedish, and this is a bit tricky because just like with A, we have a long and a short version with two distinct sound qualities. So we have I, and we have I. I is a bit further back. It's more like a line here. Your mouth is more like a line. I. And I is more open and so on. We also have the sound for the long version, which...
what is that? I. I don't know what the difference between I and I, or whatever he did just then. It sounded exactly the same. I'm sorry.
And I is more open and so on. We also have the sound for the long version, which a lot of you ask me about.
That's like side of your tongue. That's hard. That's probably the hardest because I don't know how to say the difference between I and the third one that he did, guys, I don't know what that was. I'm sorry. Someone has to teach me how to say that third version.
And it's nothing that you have to do to sound native. It can even sound stupid in some situations, right? It's something I do unconsciously, sometimes, not all of the times. It's like a social dialect thing. It depends on the person, etc. It's nothing that you do all the time.
Right.
Hopefully, because if you do it all the time, it sounds ridiculous. And it's really nothing you need to do to sound native. So you don't waste your time, is what I'm trying to say. Because
okay, so thank God I don't have to do that, because that's a specific tongue placement that he did then to sound. I'm guessing what he's saying there is that it also might be quite regional. I reckon there's some parts of Sweden where you don't use that version. Like you don't, I don't know. Let me know in the comment section. I've got a feeling that there's some parts of Sweden that's like, well, we don't do it like that.
A lot of you are struggling with this and you want to sound Swedish, so you want to do this, but really it's nothing that you will find all over Sweden, and it can't even sound bad, right? So don't waste your time, don't think about it. It's not required to sound Swedish. If you want to learn more about this letter and the difference between I, and U, which a lot of you struggle with, you can watch my video on that if you click here. There I have similar words with those different types of sounds to try to make you, I don't know, hear the difference and get used to the different sounds. Our next sound is J or J, as we say in Swedish, and it's pronounced like an English Y. Y. It's this half vowel that is half I, half I don't know, right? So Y, like my name, Joachim, right?
That is nice.
But other than that, it's pretty straightforward. But in some loans, it's pronounced like in the French loan, journaliste. Journalist, right? Journalist. So it's something you have to be aware about and know about, but other than that, it's pretty straightforward. Then we have K, which is just as interesting as G or G. because we have similar rules here. So K is basically the unvoiced version of G. So if you say k, 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 you can feel that nothing is vibrating. But in front of soft vowels or mjuka vokaler, E, I, Y, Ä, Ö, it's pronounced sh, right? So we have cud and we have shud, because cud is a loan word, choir. So
Should.
for some reason, people pronounce it like that. They maintain the K sound, cud. But then we have should, which means
Should.
drive in the imperative mood. So even those two homographs, they are spelled the same, but different pronunciation rules apply here.
Oh my god. But he's not losing me. I am following, guys. I'm just like, my mind is like, oh my god, no way. I think I'd have to hear them in sentences to like. I think that's how I'm gonna learn, because I think I learn practicing, like in practice, like in a conversation. I think that's how I'm gonna be able to learn languages. I don't think maybe this way is the way that I'll learn. I will. It's good to know, but do you know what I mean? Like in a sentence with the words and the use case of those pronunciations, I think would work better for me in an actual real life conversation sort of thing.
So beware of that. But the general rule is that if it's a Swedish word, E, I, Y, Ä, Ö makes the K sound soft and makes it into a sh sound. Then we have L or L. And this is something interesting that not a lot of people talk about. It's nothing you really learn, but a lot of languages have different L sounds. They are slightly different. So beware of that. If you're speaking German, for instance, it took me ages, while learning German, to figure out that the L sound was different. Even in English, it's different from Swedish, etc. The Finnish L is also different from the Swedish one, etc. So slightly differences. It doesn't matter much in the end because we will understand you anyway. But L. Then we have M and M, or M and N. And these are just like in other languages. They have these nasal sounds, etc. But what I wanted to say is that N in front of G is pronounced ng, and N in front of K is pronounced nk, right? This is also common for at least some Germanic languages and so on, but it's something to note.
Okay.
Then we have O or oo.
Ooh.
And yes, this is a tricky letter.
Yeah. I know with O, you have multiple ways of pronouncing O. And I just know there's at least 3 or 4.
It's kind of tricky for several reasons. One is that oo is normally spelled with a U in a bunch of languages, but not in Swedish. It's spelled with this letter, oo.
Ooh.
But for historical reasons, it can also be pronounced oa.
Ooh.
So that's why it's tricky. People don't know when they are reading Swedish which sound to make. And you just have to learn it, right? There is no rule for this. So we have oo and we have oo. Here, those two qualities are almost the same. Sometimes people write them the same, phonetically, with the phonetic alphabet, but really they are two qualities, oo and oo.
Ooh. Ooh.
It's kind of hard to describe. Maybe you can hear it, but it's not that big of a deal, right? And then we have o and o. The same there. Two different distinct vowels that are used for either the long or the short version. So o and o. Right? Then we have p.
Like
which
ok. Ok.
oh yes, I'm so mature. Well, we have the letter P, which is an unvoiced P sound, right? It's basically the unvoiced sister of B. B, right? Pretty straightforward, right? And there isn't much to say here, except that in Swedish we aspirate our consonants.
P, T, K normally get aspirated in the beginning of a word, except in front of an S.
A lot. So we pronounce them with a lot of air, and you don't do that in every single language. So basically, in some languages, it might sound more like a B, despite being unvoiced. So we would say p, p, t, t. And as you can hear, when I'm pretty much blowing into the mic. P, p.
Let's see if I can do that. Is that loud?
We aspirate. That's called aspiration here. But
aspiration.
In some languages, it's more like and etc. It's softer, but still unvoiced, right? So that's important to note, but really a very minor thing. It doesn't matter that much. But if you want to sound completely Swedish, it's something you need to think about. Then we have Q, which is pronounced like a K, and it's basically only used in foreign names and stuff. So let's move on. And then we have the infamous R sound, which can be,
The R sound, actually, I think the R sound might be the most complicated sound out of all your sounds, I think. O is pretty there, but R is...
bunch of sounds in Swedish. The standard pronunciation that we usually teach is a trilled R. R. But as I've said in several videos like this one, this old thing, it's mostly just a tap. And in the Stockholm area, it's more, it basically a Z. So this R sound gets devolved into a Z sound. So roligt. If you really put stress on this, roligt sounds weird. We don't do that. It's not really normal to trill that much. But if you have a tap, it's roligt. Very short trill. I don't know why I'm doing this. But in some cases, it's more like roligt.
Zulit.
Right, like a chainsaw.
So is he saying that's in Stockholm? That's kind of, that makes sense that you would like make it easier or shorten it or like clean it up in Stockholm. I don't know. That makes sense for Stockholm.
Or like a broken moped. Well. In the south of Sweden, you will have sounds like etc. It's nothing that I would suggest learning because it just doesn't fit if you're trying to learn standard or more or less standard. We don't really have standard pronunciation, but let's say the most common pronunciation. People have said that I say pronunciation when I'm not. I say pronunciation, but I'm just not clear enough. I know the difference. It's pronounce and pronunciation. So I'm not saying pronunciation even if it sounds like that because I'm...
Do not worry. He does not need to explain anything. The fact that he can speak the English language to the level that he can speak it, it's fine. If there's an English person that is telling him that he's pronouncing things wrong, saying pronunciation instead of pronunciation, tell them to fuck off. Because, mate, he's speaking like English very, very well. There's no, he doesn't have to worry about that.
Just bad at pronouncing stuff. I think about this a lot, but it still doesn't seem to go through the mic and out to you. I guess I have a gnome in my microphone. Hi. That modifies it to troll me. Anyway, let's move on. So yeah, Swedish doesn't really have a standard pronunciation. We don't really have a high Swedish pronunciation. It's more like the most common pronunciation.
Interesting.
It's the media pronunciation, basically.
Yeah, media pronunciation. I think every country has a media pronunciation. The UK, we have that. If you listen to the news from the UK, nobody speaks like that. Maybe a small part of the population in England speaks like that. But if you go to other parts of England, we don't speak like that. England's an interesting place. We have so many different accents that are coloured in such different ways. It's actually incredible. My accent is weird because it's a Yorkshire accent, but it's a Yorkshire accent with... I lived in London for a little bit, so it's a bit softer. Also, because my grandparents are from the Caribbean, some of the way that they speak is in my vernacular as well. So, like, mine is like a mixture of the southern England, so like London, Leeds, Yorkshire, which is quite Yorkshire. We stretch our words. We stretch our words in Yorkshire. And Jamaican, like Jamaican vibes in the way that I speak as well. So I've got a mixture, and I guess it's like that in Sweden. I'm guessing like it's not a standard everywhere. Like people have different mixtures from different parts. People in Gothenburg speak a certain way. People in Malmö in the south speak a certain way. And in Stockholm in the north, like people just speak differently. But the one to learn is probably the most neutral, which I'm guessing is the Stockholm accent. Is that the most neutral? I don't know. I know in England, if you're going to learn English, you're better off learning the London vernacular because it's just the clearest, or the news English.
So that's what you're gonna hear, and if you're listening to me, you're gonna hear a tap or a z sound, because I'm from Stockholm and that z sound is more likely to pop up there. And speaking of R's, we have retroflex sounds in Swedish, which is a tricky topic that you can hear more about at Say It in Swedish and in that pronunciation course that I made a few years back. So basically, this means that R is fused together with other letters, and we pronounce those letters by bending back our tongue. It sounds pretty sporty, but that's how we do that, and that's a dead giveaway that someone is a foreigner because they trill the R too much.
Okay, so I don't want to sound like a foreigner, so let's make sure I get the R's correct then.
Combination and then pronounce that other letter, and they don't fuse this together into a retroflex sound. So real quick, the sounds we have are R plus D, and you Indians out there, you know what I'm talking about. This is pretty characteristic for Indian languages. So R plus D, D, R plus T, T, R and S, Sh, R and N, N, and R and L, which is L. So we have those. Pretty tricky at first, so check out the pronunciation course at sayinswedish.com to go through these in your own pace and with a lot of a bunch of examples, etc. Then we have the letter S, which is S and always an unvoiced S sound, never Z. And in some combinations, like you can see on this screen right now, it's pronounced sh or h. Then we have a T, like I explained before. It's an often an aspirated t sound. A lot of air comes out. T, t, t. Not always, but sometimes. And yeah, basically it's just that. It's an unvoiced t sound. Very straightforward. Then we have U, and this letter is normally pronounced U in a lot of languages, but in Swedish we have this sound U that just had to have a letter. So we chose this one. We have
you have a lot of those oo sounds, oo, You've got all the. You've got all these. So like, you've got a lot of those sounds. I can't explain the O's and the U's. You've got a lot of those sounds. You've got a lot of those. A lot. And if you get them wrong, I reckon that's the, like, you can tell if someone's not from Sweden.
We have ooh. And here, I think this one is the most clear difference between those two vowel qualities. So the long one is u, and the short one is u. Hopefully you're agreeing with me that this difference is the most obvious or evident difference. Then we have V and W, V and W, and both are pronounced like a V. Only like a V. A voiced V sound. So it's basically, those two are basically siblings or cousins to F, but they are voiced. And W or W, which we say. So for us, that's two V's, right?
Makes sense.
So we have one V and we have the double V. And that one is basically used in foreign words or foreign names, basically. We don't really use it. So at one point it was taken out of the alphabet. Yeah, was taken out and considered a variation of V, etc. Now it's back in officially, yeah, whatever. But what you need to know is that it's pronounced
never used
like V or V. Then we have X, which is X, and it's pronounced X, like in other languages. Very straightforward. Then we have E, which is one of those vowels with two different qualities and two different lengths. In Swedish, we call this letter E, and that's also the long pronunciation. The short pronunciation is Y. Right? Can you hear the difference? I hope you can. And then we have...
I feel like I'm hearing the same word again and again and again. I know you guys know the difference, but mate, I feel like I've heard the same sounds about 10 times, but different letters. What the fuck? Guys, honestly, what?
Äta, or Z, or Z, and etc. It's Zidra. That's just pronounced like an S in Swedish. Pretty weird. I know. We don't use it a lot, but like in words like zebra, we use it, for instance. So all you have to know, if you see it in a Swedish word, it's just pronounced like an unvoiced S. Those were almost all letters. We made it through A to Z. Now we're going to talk about the three remaining letters that you will find in Scandinavian languages. But Norwegian and Danish, they write them a bit differently and they put them in different places. So don't mind those people, weird people, silly people. In Swedish, it's Å, Ä, Ö. So the A with a circle on top. The problem here is that a lot of foreigners, they just assume that these are the same letters. No, we are just using the A with some other diacrits on them so that they are pronounced differently instead of making a whole new letter, right? Okay. It's not the same as A. Forget about A. It just looks like A. It's not A, right? Very important. You can't just like write a text and skip all these all these diacrits, right?
Right.
So important. Don't do that. So Å, that's the name of the letter, is pronounced just like our O in some cases, like I said before. So we already went through this sound, but in this case, it's always gonna be Å and O. There is no other sound here. It's not an A sound, right? So, Å. Then we have A.
Did it not sound the same to you? I don't. Okay.
A. And A is pronounced like A, and that's just like we pronounced E in some cases. Also confusing, I know.
Oh, no.
But that's our A sound. But in front of R, this A sound.
No, but honestly, guys, why do you pronounce multiple words the same, but they have different meanings? So you have letters, different letters that sound the same, and they have different meanings, but they have the same pronunciation, but you can't use them interchangeably. What? I think I'm gonna struggle the most with like writing and reading. But I'm gonna try with talking first. Although I've been reading a lot more Swedish because I'm on Instagram, and because of my Swedish Instagram, I get a lot of Swedish media. So like I'm in the comment section, like not reading, but looking at people's writing. You can press translation, so it's quite easy. But like, yeah, it's interesting.
Sound is A. It's more open. It's weird. It's A and it's A. Both the long one and the short one have the same sound quality here, which is also interesting because most of the vowels most of the vowels are really two different vowels with the same letter and almost the same. But in this case, A in front of an R is pronounced like A and A. All right? Bit weird, but Finns have this sound too. That's their A sound. So now you know. Then we have Ö. And Ö basically has 4 sounds as well. So we have Ö, and that's what we call the letter. Ö and Ö. Sound quality the same, long and short. But then we have Ö. In front of an R, that's Ö. Ö and Ö. The same sound quality here, but long and short. So it's a bit weird. In Swedish, most vowels, here is a list. But most vowels in Swedish, they have 2 different sounds, 2 qualities, and they can only be pronounced with 1 length. But A and Ö, they have 2 qualities that can be used with both lengths. So both short and long. I hope that you learned something today. This was a crash course in Swedish pronunciation. So we went through all letters.
I don't know why I thought that your language was more simple, but actually this has scared me a little bit. How do you remember all the sounds? I guess it comes with just speaking the language, isn't it? And then
we didn't talk about pitch, accent, and so on, but you can check out my video on that here. It's a bit boring, but it's my, I think, most viewed video on this channel, so check that out. And if you want an updated version where I'm, more I'm better at talking, I guess, please let me know in the comments down below, and I will make an updated version, maybe give you some more insight as to why this happened and whatever. And we will see each other in the next video. And before you watch another video, check out the pronunciation course at sayitinswedish.com. You can go through.
Okay, I'm going to pause him. My brain is fried. That's why I'm so quiet. Because, guys, I'm like now facing the reality of, oh my God, I have so much to learn. How do you have that many different, don't know what to say. There's one thing speaking Swedish, but then there's another thing being able to read, especially read and write Swedish. Because I'll be using, like you said, the A symbol without the little circle on top and meaning other things. I'm just writing and reading is just going to be like, what? I don't know. I can do it though. What do you think? I wouldn't give up. I'd continue. I think that's going to be my weakness. I don't think speaking it will be a weakness because I like to talk. But I think reading and writing will be an issue. Although with AI and stuff, I don't think writing and reading are going to be as... Not that it's not going to be important. It is important. But you can get by. Do you know what I mean? if I can like speak Swedish and communicate with you guys vocally, there's Google Translate. I can translate what I don't know written wise. Do you know what I mean? Anyways, guys, thank you very much for watching. Until the next one, I will see you very soon.